The village woke to a mysterious staircase made of light. They did not know they had crowned a false prince. The sky rejected him. Many stepped forward, none returned. Only true royal blood born by the virgin princess may climb. Watch now and discover the truth. A story by Nena Stories. No one in Umu-Eli remembered a night without stars. The village was old, older than stories, older than names. It sat quietly between thick forests and red earth paths, untouched by the noise of the outside world. In Umu-Eli, time did not rush. It walked slowly, leaning on tradition like a walking stick. That was why the elders noticed it immediately. At dawn, when the first cock crowed and women stepped out with clay pots to fetch water, a scream tore through the village square. Chim! Oh! People ran. In the middle of the market square, where traders sold yams, palm oil, and dried fish, stood something that had never existed before. A staircase. It was not built of wood or stone, yet it looked solid. Each step shimmered faintly, as though carved from morning light itself. It rose straight upward, piercing the clouds, disappearing into the sky. There was no beginning. There was no visible end. Just steps, endless steps. By the time the sun fully rose, the entire village had gathered. Old men leaned on their staffs. Children clung to their mothers. Women whispered prayers under their breath. This is not from man, one elder said quietly. Ezemado, the chief elder, arrived last. When he saw the staircase, his face hardened, not in wonder, but in fear. This, he said, his voice trembling, is not a blessing. The village fell silent. Before anyone could ask another question, Chucks stepped forward. Chucks the drunker, the most useless man in Umu-Eli, the one who feared being sober. If it leads to heaven, he scoffed, then let heaven know Chuks is not coming. His wife, Nkiru, grabbed his arm. Do not joke with things above us, she begged. Chucks laughed and placed his foot on the first step. The staircase did not shake. The sky did not thunder, so he climbed. One step, 3 steps, soon a loud screaming followed. Chucks was no longer a man, but a shadow against the clouds. And then he was gone. They waited minutes, hours, until the sun leaned westward. Chucks never returned. Long before the staircase appeared in the village, before men vanished into the clouds, before the gods reminded Umu-Eli of their sin, our village was already dying. Umu-Eli was not poor. It was not cursed by war or famine. It was cursed by silence. The silence of compounds without sons. The silence of drums that no longer welcome newborn boys. The silence of fathers who buried their last male child and knew their lineage ended with them. For 7 seasons, no strong boys survived to manhood. They were born crying, yes, but they did not stay. Some fell sick without reason. Some died in their sleep. Some walked into the forest and were never seen again. And as Umu-Eli weakened, neighboring villages grew bold. They crossed our boundaries. They seized our farmlands. They mocked us openly. Where are your sons? Who will fight for you? Who will inherit your land? The insult cut deeper than spears. At the center of it all sat King Solomon, a ruler loved by his people, feared by his enemies, and broken by one truth: he had no son. The king loved his 2 wives dearly. Queen Nia, calm as still waters, gave him 4 daughters, wise, gentle, obedient girls who moved through the palace like blessings. Queen Morayo, fire in her eyes and iron in her spine, bore him 3 daughters, sharp-minded, ambitious, restless children who questioned the world even as they learned it. They were loved, they were cherished, yet they were daughters. Year after year, the palace waited. Year after year, the palace mourned. Drums announced births, then fell silent in disappointment. Hope rose, only to bow its head again. When the king's last brother died, leaving no male heir behind, fear entered the palace like a thief. The elders gathered in low voices, their staffs trembling in their hands. We have worshipped the gods without rest, one elder said bitterly. We have poured palm wine on the earth, offered rams and kola, fasted and prayed, yet they refuse to deliver us from this predicament. Another elder sighed, his voice heavy with dread. Perhaps it is not that they cannot help us, but that they will not. Silence followed, thick, dangerous silence. Then, beneath a moon that refused to shine brightly, a voice broke the taboo. A name no man spoke unless all hope had died. Chukwuelu, the sky god, the god who ruled above all others, the god no man summoned lightly, the god who answered prayers, but always at a terrible price. An elder stepped forward, his voice shaking but firm. I think we should call on the sky god. Perhaps he will be the one to save our land. We have tried all other gods to no avail. Let us seek the face of the sky god and see if he will answer us. The words hung in the air like smoke. The king rose slowly from his throne, his face carved with grief and authority. My wives have given me daughters I love with all my heart, he said, his voice steady but heavy. Do not mistake my silence for regret. Yet a kingdom is not ruled by love alone. He turned to the elders, his eyes dark. You ask me to summon a god even our fathers feared. If the sky god answers, he will not come gently. Are you prepared for what he may demand? Murmurs rippled through the council. Some elders shifted back in fear, clutching their staffs. Others nodded slowly, burdened by duty rather than courage. We are afraid, one elder confessed, but we are more afraid of a land without a future. Another added, if we do nothing, the throne will fall into chaos. Let the risk be ours to bear. The king closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them, the decision had already been made. Then we shall seek his face, he said. Call the priests, cleanse the land. At dawn, we will call upon the sky god. And so, with trembling hearts and no other hope left, the elders agreed. They would seek the face of the sky god and wait for his answer. On the next Eke market day, the villagers summoned their chief priest, wise one, keeper of secrets, and walker between worlds. Before the elders and the king, the chief priest cast his divinations, consulting spirits older than memory, listening to voices that did not speak aloud. When he finally raised his head, his words shook the gathering. The path of male children can be opened, he declared, but it will not be opened through many, only through one. The elders leaned forward, breath held. One of the king's wives will conceive the first healthy male. The wise one continued, from that child, healing will flow into the land. From her womb, other women will begin to bear sons again. Relief swept through the council like rain on dry earth. At least there was a solution. At least the sky god had not turned away completely. The king, solemn and resolute, gave his consent. Do what must be done, he said, for the sake of the land. The queens were informed of the rites. They were told when to come for cleansing and that the final ritual would be performed beneath the full moon. Days passed. On the seventh night after the cleansing, the ritual began. Both queens were led to the sacred ground and placed upon the altar stone, their feet bare upon the earth, their palms open to the sky, their wombs lay before the gods. What no one knew, what no one suspected, was that Queen Morayo had already chosen her path. Restless and burning with ambition, she desired more than fate might grant. She wanted the prince to come from her womb alone. So, after long nights of calculation and quiet resolve, she visited the chief priest in the dead of the previous night. She came with gold. She came with her body. She came with a bargain. Together, they planned in secrecy. She would be given the true charm, the one meant to draw the seed of a male child. When the deal was sealed through mating, the chief priest looked into her eyes and spoke softly. You will bear the son. But magic, when twisted, never obeys completely. There is always a flaw, always a hidden price. And in that unseen loophole, the troubles of the village were born. The ritual ended. The fires died. The king lay with both his wives as the chief priest commanded. Weeks passed, then months. Queen Morayo conceived. The palace erupted in celebration. Drums thundered across the courtyards. Dancers filled the squares. The elders lifted their staffs in praise. She is chosen, they declared. She is the vessel of our deliverance. Morayo was crowned mother of the future king, honored above all women, praised as the one through whom the land would be healed. But far from the noise, far from the songs and wine. Another fate was unfolding. Amara, the youngest daughter of Queen Nia, began to weaken. Sickness clung to her limbs. Her belly slowly swelled. When the pregnancy became impossible to hide, the palace screamed in horror. She is unmarried. She claims no man has touched her. This is an abomination. Amara wept before them all. She swore by earth and sky that she spoke the truth. She did not understand what was happening to her body. The elders gathered in whispers, fear sharpening their tongues. One word passed between them like poison: witchcraft. The chief priest spoke of dark forces, of evil gods seeking to corrupt the work of the sky god. He declared the child a taboo, a threat to the destiny of the land. The king, broken by fear and shame, spoke words that would haunt his throne forever. If she carries a child not of this world, he said, then she is not fit to remain in this one. Before dawn, Amara was driven from the palace. She fled beyond the village, beyond the farmlands, into the mountains where no one watched. And there, alone among stones, wind, and unseen spirits, she gave birth. That same night, beneath the same sky in the palace, Queen Morayo also went into labor. Two cries pierced the darkness. Two sons were born. And suddenly, the land began to change. Healing flowed through the land like living waters. The soil softened. The river swelled. Barren wombs stirred with life. Across the village, women conceived. Male children were born again. The people rejoiced. They praised Queen Morayo. They crowned her son prince and heir to the throne. They declared the land cleansed at last. But what no one knew, what no one dared imagine, was that the healing had not come from the palace. Morayo bore a son, yes, a child shaped by charm and deception. But the power that cleansed the land did not flow from her womb. It flowed from the mountain, from the child born of spirit, carried by a virgin princess, touched by the sky god himself, the true son, the immortal one. And while the world bowed before the wrong heir, the real destiny of the kingdom grew quietly in exile. But the sky god sees what men hide, and the child crowned in the palace carried a secret no drum announced. No royal blood ran in his veins. Princess Amara named him Seven, which means perfection, completion, what the sky god finished with his own hands. From the moment he was born, Amara knew. It was not the cries that revealed him, nor the way the wind bowed when he breathed. It was the power. Something ancient moved within him, a quiet force, a living light. She understood then that her son was not ordinary. He was not merely alive, he was chosen. And so she hid him, far from the eyes and whispers of the villagers, far from fear disguised as tradition, far from men who kill what they do not understand. No one was allowed to know he lived, not the elders, not the palace, not the land. She wanted it that way, because she knew the truth. She could not yet protect him. If they see you, she warned him as he grew, they will try to kill you. Not because you are evil, but because you are truth, because you are the real royal blood. So she raised him in exile. She taught him survival, how to read the wind when it changes direction, how to follow tracks that leave no marks, how to disappear when danger draws near. She taught him fear, not as a weakness, but as wisdom. Fear that teaches distance, fear that preserves destiny. Years passed. Seven grew into a man, strong as the mountain that hid him, swift as the wind that shaped him. He was no hunter, no ordinary warrior. He was gifted, a force unto himself. Magic not learned, but lived, a man with the heart of an army, a prince without a throne, yet never without power. Below, in Umu-Eli, another boy grew as well. Prince Chacha, Queen Morayo's son, crowned heir before he could walk, praised before he could speak, surrounded by drums, wrapped in gold, raised on lies. The people adored him. They called him the spirit child, the cleanser of the land, the promise fulfilled. They bowed where he stepped. They believed heaven smiled upon him, but the sky never did. The bargain with the sky god was clear. Each year, a sacrifice of thanksgiving was required, offered through royal blood. Only the true heir, the son born of spirit, was holy enough to stand before the sky god. Yet year after year, the wrong child stood at the altar. The people kept the ritual, they kept the feast, they kept the ceremony, but heaven did not receive it because the blood was false, the heir was false, and the promise was broken. The sky god did not forget. He watched, he waited, and his patience thinned. 20 years later, the staircase appeared, not built by hands, not carved by men, a path of light and cloud, descending where no path had ever been. The earth trembled, the mountains fell silent, the winds held their breath. The sky remembered everything, the bargain, the lie. The child was cast away, and the time came for the sky god to reclaim what was his. No one in Umu-Eli slept the night the staircase appeared. At first light, the village square filled slowly, cautiously, as though the ground itself might betray them. Mothers clutched their wrappers tightly around their chests, knuckles white. Old men leaned heavily on their staffs, staring upward until their necks ached. Even children sensed something beyond play. There, where the market fire once burned, stood the impossible, a staircase. It did not rest on stone, it did not sink into the earth. It simply stood, rising straight upward, step after step, pale and luminous, vanishing into drifting clouds. The higher steps faded into nothingness, as though the sky itself had swallowed them whole. No rope held it, no pillar supported it, and yet it did not fall. A child whispered what everyone was thinking. Is it heaven? Thunder rumbled faintly, though the sky was clear, as if the clouds themselves were murmuring in warning. The elders ordered everyone to keep their distance. This thing did not come for celebration, one elder warned. It came with memory. But fear and curiosity are twins, bound tightly by human nature. Before the sun reached its highest point, Obina the hunter pushed through the crowd. Obina had buried 2 sons in 5 years. He had nothing left to fear. If the sky has taken my children, he said, voice steady, eyes glinting with resolve, then let it take me too. His wife screamed his name. The elders pleaded. Obina stepped onto the first stair. It felt solid. The second step shimmered beneath his foot, but held. A murmur spread through the crowd, rising and falling like wind. Step by step, Obina climbed. 10 steps, 20, 30. Soon he was above the tallest palm tree, above the shrine roofs, above the beds. The village watched, breaths held tight, hearts drumming in rhythm with the invisible pulse of the sky. Then the clouds closed around him, and Obina vanished. They waited. When the sun leaned west, they waited. When evening shadows stretched long, they waited. At nightfall, his wife collapsed to the ground, trembling, wailing. He never returned. No scream, nobody, no sign, just silence. That night, Umu-Eli locked its doors. The air hung heavy, even the wind dared not whisper. By morning, the staircase had not faded. Instead, it glowed brighter, as though it had grown impatient. With it came whispers. Some said they heard voices when the wind passed through the steps. Others claimed they dreamt of hands reaching down, inviting, warning. Then Okorie, Obina's younger brother, stepped forward. If my brother lives, he said bitterly, eyes burning with stubborn fire, I will find him. Anger, not courage, drove him. He climbed. The staircase did not reject him, but it did not welcome him either. He vanished before midday. 3 men gone. And then fear turned into panic. That same week, boys across Umu-Eli began to weaken. Strong young men wore coughing blood. Hunters collapsed in the forest. Newborn boys cried without strength. The healers failed. The charms broke. The ancestral gods remained silent. And then the elders remembered. The sky god. King Solomon called the council in secret. Dust-covered scrolls were unwrapped. Old symbols, long ignored, were laid bare. The truth crawled out of the past. The sky has been fed lies, the elder whispered, voice trembling, not blood. They spoke of the ancient promise, the true royal blood, the rightful heir, the sky sacrifices. And then they looked toward the palace, toward Prince Chacha, son of Queen Morayo. He had ruled in the king's absence. He had led the festivals. He had poured the sky libations, and yet the staircase had come. Prince Chacha laughed when summoned. If the sky wants blood, he said proudly, then I will give it my courage. Before anyone could stop him, he approached the staircase. The village watched. He placed his foot on the first step. The staircase shuddered. He tried again. The step burned cold beneath him and threw him backward onto the ground. A gasp tore through the crowd. He tried a third time. The staircase pushed him away violently. Prince Chacha screamed, not in pain, but in terror. It rejects me. Silence fell. The sky had spoken. Queen Morayo collapsed. The chief priest trembled. Eyes turned slowly toward the chief priest. Under threat of exile and death, he confessed. Long before the ritual fires cooled, long before the king touched Queen Morayo's bed, a different seed had already been planted. In the dead of night when the palace slept, Queen Morayo had gone to the chief priest, not as a queen, but as a desperate woman. She brought him gold. She brought him her body. She brought him a promise sealed in silence, and the chief priest took it all. What passed between them was not only a charm, it was flesh, it was blood. By the time the king lay with Morayo after the ritual, life had already begun to stir within her. The child she carried did not belong on the throne. He was not of royal blood. He was not the king's son. He belonged to the chief priest. But magic hid the truth, and belief completed the lie. When Morayo gave birth, the king saw his heir. The elders saw salvation. The people saw the future. Only the sky god knew that the crown rested on a child born of deceit, a prince without royal blood, a king in waiting chosen by men, not by heaven. And somewhere beyond the mountains, the true son of the sky god lived in silence, while a lie was raised upon the throne. The affair, the bribe, the corrupted ritual, and finally, the name of the banished princess, Amara, was mentioned. The chief priest knew later that she had conceived the spirit child. The king fell to his knees. My daughter is alive? The village youths were sent up to the mountain, but the search was unproductive. Days passed. Sevan and Princess Amara knew it was time to go back and reclaim their rightful place. That morning, when the villagers were still panicking in confusion, a figure emerged from the forest edge. Tall, silent, eyes steady as stone. Behind him walked a frail woman with silver threaded hair, Amara, and beside her, her son Seven, the boy who was never meant to exist. The air shifted as he stepped forward. The staircase shimmered. King Solomon pointed at them with tears in his eyes. It has been revealed that only the true royal son from the king's bloodline can climb the stairs. So, when Seven approached the stair, no pride, no fear, no anger, he placed his foot on the first step. The staircase welcomed him. A collective cry rose from the village. He turned back once. If I am the rightful heir, he said calmly, may I return. But if I am not, may the sky god claim my soul. And then he climbed, one step, another, another. The clouds swallowed him. For 3 days, Umu-Eli waited, and the sky remained silent. For 3 days, the staircase stood unchanged. For 3 days, Umu-Eli did not breathe properly. No drum was beaten, no firewood was split, no market opened. The sons of the village lay weak in their compounds, eyes dull, bodies burning with unseen sickness. Mother sat beside them, wiping sweat, whispering prayers to gods who no longer answered. Every few moments, someone would step into the square and look upward. The staircase did not move. It did not glow brighter. It did not darken. It simply waited. No one knew what happened to Seven after the cloud swallowed him. But Seven knew. The moment his foot touched the step beyond human sight, the air changed. There was no wind, no sun, no ground. Yet he stood. Before him stretched a vast openness, neither light nor darkness, just presence. Then the voice came, not loud, not soft, heavy. Child of broken promise, why do you climb what men were wont not to claim? Seven fell to his knees. I did not climb to take, he said. I climbed to return what was stolen. Silence followed. Then the sky shifted. Images poured around him like mist, giving shape. He saw the ritual from 20 years ago. He saw the lie. He saw the blood that was not royal offered in his name. He saw sacrifices rise, only to fall back to the earth. Your people fed me shadows, the sky god said, and shadows cannot sit on a throne. You are not meant to be born, the sky lord continued, but you were born correctly. Seven trembled. I ask nothing, he said, only that my people live. The sky grew still. Life has a price, the sky god replied, and memory is that price. Then the terms were spoken, clear, unchangeable. The sky god gave Seven his list of demands. 1. The first blood must never sit on the throne again. 2. The truth must be spoken publicly, no silence, no covering. 3. The rightful heir must rule without pride. 4. The staircase will disappear only after obedience, not before. Fail again, the sky lord warned. And next time, I will not build steps. I will come down myself. The presence withdrew. The sky returned, and Seven found himself falling Not down, but back. On the morning of the third day, a cry rang out. He's coming down! The village rushed out, thin, silent, hopeful. Through the clouds, a figure appeared, step by step, alive. Seven descended. When his feet touched the ground, the staircase paused once, like a heartbeat. The sons of Umu-Eli gasped for breath in their compounds. The sickness stopped spreading. The king wept openly. The entire village gathered. No drums, no celebration, only truth. The chief priest was brought forward. Queen Morayo stood trembling. Prince Chacha stared at the ground. The king's voice broke as he spoke. I crowned a lie and banished the truth. The affair had confessed, the deception exposed. The false prince was stripped of title. No blood was shed. Shame was heavier than punishment. The chief priest was banished together with Queen Morayo. At sunset, Seven stood before the people. He did not wear gold. He did not raise his voice. I was raised without a village, he said. Let me rule so no child is ever hidden again. The crown was placed upon his head. For the first time in 20 years, the sky thundered softly, not in anger, but in acknowledgement. The proper sacrifice was made. This time, the smoke rose upward, straight, unbroken. The staircase began to fade, step by step, until only air remained. The next day, the village woke to an empty square. No staircase, no shadow, only memory. The suns recovered. The land grew fertile. The sky remained silent but watchful. Seven ruled wisely, and once every year, during harvest, he stood alone in the square and poured libation upward, not to climb, but to remember. The lesson Umu-Eli never forgot. The elders tell the story still. They say, the sky does not hate humans, it hates deception. Heaven is not reached by steps, it is reached by truth. And if you ever pass through Umu-Eli at dawn, when the mist is thick and the clouds hang low, some swear they still see footprints in the air.